You know Canyon View Vineyard as that big church out by the interstate. But did you know this is the 5th location our church has called home? Canyon View started out as a home group in the late 1970s. From there, it went to Broadway Temple, to 17th and Glenwood, and then to North Avenue. In 2000, Canyon View finally came to its present location. The first pastor was C.L. Thacker, followed soon by Dan and Cheryl Cox. Under Dan Cox, the church flourished, quickly outgrowing the Glenwood Avenue location. The church moved to North Avenue to a former car dealership, affectionately dubbed the Chrysler Cathedral. The name change from Christian Life Center to Grand Junction Vineyard soon followed after Pastor Dan became associated with the National Vineyard Movement. The church grew. Various community outreaches were started, nurturing the spirit of being in the community instead of staying within the walls of the church. From the 80s to the end of the century, the church was busting at the seams, and a search began for a new location. With property purchased on the developing 24.5 road Canyon View Park area, by 2000, a new church building was completed at its current location. A new building also brought a new name, Canyon View Vineyard Church, and has been our home ever since. In August 2007, Kurt Yamaguchi became the new senior pastor of Canyon View when Dan Cox retired. A former church member back in the 90s, Kurt felt a strong callback to Grand Junction. His role at the time was founding pastor of the Canyon City Vineyard. It was difficult for the Yamaguchis to leave the church they had started, but with a number of confirmations, he and his wife Jane and 3 children knew God was calling them to guide Canyon View into the next season. Canyon View continues to be known as the church that is actively involved in the community. From our outreach campuses to community food distribution and non-traditional services, support groups, and an attitude of acceptance. No matter who you are, you're welcome at Canyon View. Canyon View is not just localized to the Grand Valley. By supporting missionaries around the world and sending people to experience a life-changing mission trip, Canyon View has become a name recognized as a church with people who care. Our South Sudan initiative has fostered hundreds of new churches in South Sudan, with tens of thousands choosing to follow Christ. Our support of churches in Japan, Thailand, Nicaragua, and many others has made us a key player in spreading the gospel worldwide. Our involvement with Convoy of Hope and One Day to Feed the World has shown that the people of Canyon View are ready to step up and help when disaster strikes and relief is needed. Our adoption ministry has brought children of many nations to families here in Colorado, while keeping a strong identity of support for children right here at home as well. Our garden team has become key in training and supporting sustainable farming in areas around the world. Aquaponic operations are being set up in many countries, with Canyon View being the catalyst for instruction and implementation. Cell groups are a key component at Canyon View for attaining this level of involvement. Church members gather weekly in homes to disciple, mentor, and to witness lives transformed by the power of Jesus. Using an 8-step model, the focus is to make room for those who do not know Christ, yet providing an atmosphere for growth for the whole group. We stress cell life because we're called to be a missional church, making disciples to reach the world for Christ. Canyon View had its beginnings as a small group of people meeting in a home. Now, nearly 40 years later, it has turned into hundreds still meeting in homes each week, but with a mission and a message to transform lives with the gospel. The mission of Canyon View remains unchanged, growing disciples to reach the unreached.